Oh no, we accidentally screwed up the 4K. Oh, this is funny. It's annoying, but funny. Um, I just saw about 5-10 minutes ago that Umbrella Entertainment had to apologize for kind of, I don't know, screwing up, making a technical mistake on like two of their new 4K releases. One that's been delayed by an extra couple of weeks, the other one that just came out, that being Razorback. Which is funny because I almost bought it the other day, but I don't need the 4K UHD release. I probably could still get the disc because it would look better, but I've got their other Blu-ray release for it, and still a 4K scan, and it still comes with the exact same special features. So I'm like, I can save the $40 currently. Yeah. Nevertheless, they did recently say how they have. There's been a manufacturing error that's made the 4K disc region B locked. Which, you're probably thinking 4K UHD or region disc, now region B. What the fuck's happening there? Okay, so yeah, that's a bit weird. But at least, hey, they've been like, hey, this has just come out. Sorry, let us know, send us your receipts, order numbers, whatever the crap. We can send out replacement discs. I like that they're doing that. Everyone's like, okay, we appreciate that this is happening, even though we hate that this is happening. It's different to the classic Criterion or Arrow discs that have had issues with, I don't know, the transfer or something with the edits, and they've had to send out disc replacements. That's a different kind of error. That's the kind of error where it's like you should have had someone to look over the discs first or watch at least one of them and be like, okay, there's a problem here. The quality control measure. That was a thing that happened over the past 2-3 years. I haven't heard of any of it recently. Like, the last one I feel like I heard of was like the Beatles film, the Criterion released on 4K, which is why I got the standard Blu-ray for my dad from Criterion, but also it was a lot cheaper to get the standard Blu-ray for my dad. So, yeah, I would have liked to have gotten the 4K UHD, but it was like, to my knowledge, they hadn't replaced the disc yet. I don't know what was going on, but it was also like pretty darn expensive to buy it, because importing sucks, or at least from the US. So, now you get to this, and I'd heard a few weeks ago that I think it was Brotherhood of the Wolf, had a UHD release from Scream Factory, and apparently, at least I'd heard this from Dead End DVD, and I've heard nothing since, and apparently it's still maybe an issue, that the Scream Factory releases were all the all the 4K discs were locked as Region A, when they're meant to be Region free. Like, that's the whole thing with a UHD disc, which makes everyone love it more, is the fact that they're all regions. It still is a bit of a pickle for some consumers. There's a lot of people who say like, oh, is it going to be all region, but it's a 4K disc, it's natively all region. That's meant to be the point. Which I would like to somehow learn about what made companies or production things decide to make UHD discs all regions when Blu-rays were region A, B, or C. Yeah, I'm curious about that one, because I love that it's all regions. Easy as that. I've always appreciated that it's all regions. I'm very confused as to... I'm not confused as to why Blu-rays were different region locks, but I'd like to know this. If you know if there's like a book or an article or some Wikipedia page that like goes through the history and that emphasizes why the UHD discs, why are they all region now instead of region locked? I want to know. I feel like it's a legal thing. I don't know. But either way, like, given that 4K UHD and Blu-ray are still under the same trademark, but I think 4K UHD is a slightly different trademark because it's the 4K UHD, but it's still under the Blu-ray label. So, either way, yeah, it's kind of annoying. Like, I can understand a disc like that. Like, I wouldn't be annoyed by it because I, again, have an all-region player, whatever. But I would be annoyed if I had gotten the Scream Factory Brotherhood of the Wolf, found out it was Region A locked, put it in my Panasonic player, which is a Region B player, and been like, oh, this doesn't work for the region code. I'd be like, what the crap? And then I'd probably put it in my Sony player, which is 4K, doesn't have Dolby Vision, despite saying it does. It doesn't work. And that's an all-region player, and I could play it on that. But then if it had Dolby Vision, I'd be like, I wouldn't be able to watch in Dolby Vision. It's like, well, what's the point then, That would be really frustrating. So kind of just a bit of a goof. I think it's just, at this case, manufacturing errors, where they haven't realized that it's been encoded in a locked region, which is bizarre. See, consumers, we all like to complain. Well, we don't like to, we're kind of forced to half the time. But at the same time, there's always something to criticize. Usually it's very nitpicky stuff, but I can understand people complaining about this because it's like, yeah, well, of course, people from the US who have ordered this 4K UHD of Razorback, especially if you ordered the limited edition version, which was like 150 Australian dollars, and it comes in and you're like, yeah, I'm going to put it in my player, why isn't it playing? Because it's region B locked. That would be annoying. Like, that would be really frustrating and very confusing. So obviously someone has pointed out to them that, hey, there's an issue here with your discs. Why isn't it playing in my region? So, yeah, it's a humble mistake. I can understand. Like, thinking about it from Umbrella's point of view, they'd be like, shit, we didn't realize that it had been done this way. Whoever obviously encoded their discs had screwed up on a technical level, and now they've got to reprint all those discs. And to be fair, I've seen them at the JB Hi-Fi. They're like limited to, the slipcover versions are limited to 2,300 units. That's at least 2,300 units that they have to reproduce, potentially. But the thing is, that's also if people ask for it. Like, I don't have to if I don't want to. If I bought that 4K UHD that's just at JB, even knowing that it's only locked to 4K Region B, I'd be like, I don't mind that much because my Panasonic player is Region B. But I can understand if someone else bought it and then went overseas. What if I went overseas and decided to bring a Blu-ray of Razorback with me? That would be weird. Why would I bring the 4K of Razorback over? I don't know. Maybe if I really, really loved it and was like, I gotta watch this. I gotta show it to my American friends. And then you bring it to them and it just doesn't work. That would be annoying. So, yeah. I mostly wanted to bring this up to bring it to light that sometimes this stuff happens. Technical errors do occur. And it sucks. And there's a lot of times, obviously, where you'll have people in the Facebook comments being like, I wish you guys had better quality control. This is why I don't buy from you anymore. I can understand that. It's a frustrating thing being a consumer, especially for importing. I know a lot of people have said this, especially on my recent video I did talking about the death of physical media and how I don't have to worry as much because I can import from the US. It's like, yeah, but, emphasis on the but, what if there are technical issues? What if, especially even if I don't buy directly, say, from Amazon, but I buy it through, most likely it'd be through Amazon or through one of the stores that are local in Melbourne, like Dead End DVD or Cinemaniacs. What if the 4K disc comes in and it's broken? Or there's a technical error? What the hell do I do about that? At least Umbrella has said that if you bought their Razorback release through a different retailer, you can, send the proof of purchase to them via email, and they will send you back a disc that is fixed. Obviously, you can keep the old disc. I had that with Psycho, I think it was. What was Psycho on 4K. I got the 4K UHD from Zavvi, but apparently the audio was incorrect. It was meant to have the 5.1 and like the mono soundtracks, but there was an error, and it was only the 5.1. It's only the remastered track that's available. And they did send me replacement discs because I sent them an email. But the thing is, when I got those replacement discs, they didn't work. I still have them somewhere. I'm pretty sure I've buried them somewhere on this shelf. But I'm pretty sure I still have those replacement discs just in a little, envelope. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. Because my Blu-ray disc was fine. It still had the regular, mono track, whatever. The Blu-ray was fine, but they still sent me a 4K and a Blu-ray. Or maybe it was the Blu-ray. No. Both discs that I had, which was the 4K and the Blu-ray, were at fault. The ones they sent me, the Blu-ray disc worked perfectly. I was able to replace it easy peasy. But the 4K disc didn't work at all. I think I tested it on 2 different players. I tested it in here, I tested it out there. It did not work at all. So I was stuck with the old 4K UHD disc that only had the 5.1 track. And to be fair, I could have sent them another email. I could have complained further, whatever. It took them 3 months to send out the disc anyway, because, it took a while. And I don't really care that much. I got over the pains, the woes of it very quickly because I was just like, I don't really care. If I want to watch it with the original mono track, then I don't know, I guess I'll just put on the Blu-ray, you know. Or if I'm desperate, I find during a sale at JB or on eBay the 4K UHD that's just the standard edition in Australia, and I'll buy that, and then I can use that instead, you know. I was hoping that they would eventually do a release of Psycho on 4K with the original artwork like they had done for like The Birds and Vertigo and Rear Window. I really liked those releases, and I'm pretty sure they did do a release like that for Psycho in the US, like a secondary release, but they never did it in like Australia, not in Australia, but they never did it in the UK, so I was never able to get another Steelbook release of Psycho. So, yeah, that was kind of annoying. But it's like, yeah, I could just spend the extra bit of pocket to buy the standard release, which I probably would prefer in general to buy the standard release so I can keep with the rest of my standard release of Hitchcock, because I do have a few Steelbooks, basically just those four, and I've got a bunch of standard releases. But, yeah, so technical issues happen. This isn't the perfect system. Like, I have a lot of issues every now and again when something comes in damaged. If it's the disc that's a problem, then that's a problem. But if it's the case, that's a different situation. Because obviously when you get cases, they can be, because they're plastic, can be very easily damaged. Sometimes you don't even see it until you've opened the case up. You know, maybe you hear a disc rattling around, you're like, okay, maybe one of the little pegs has snapped off, but I can still click the disc back in. And usually that's the case. But sometimes it's just not like that. I have had my recent Saw collection came in, and every second tray was chipped, so the disc would come out. So luckily I had a replacement of those cases. It was double this. It was like had two extra slots, so I was able to put in, and maybe it was one extra slot, but either way, I was able to put in my 4K UHD disc for Saw. But the collection came with the Blu-rays of the films and the DVDs. I could have used a smaller set and just had it as a Blu-rays and just kept the DVDs in the damaged set and just buried it somewhere on the shelf, but because the artwork was designed for a larger set, I figured I'll just put them all together, you know? I put them all together, they're all on a healthier, stronger set, and I don't have to worry about it, and I can also put in my 4K and, you know, Blu-ray disc that I already had from the Steelbook release. That way I don't have to take up the Steelbook and open that up, and I can all have it in one foul sweep. Easy peasy. Those are my most annoying ones. Something like my Chucky set had come in from the UK and that was damaged, so like the thing just jostles around. It's a poorly designed set. But then there's, I'd say, the lowest common denominator. The stuff that I don't really care as much for, but I can understand, would be slipcovers. Slipcovers are a very meticulous design that they're just a little bit of extra cardboard. And my only annoyance with those would be if I bought a set of films and one of them didn't come with a slipcover. Like, say, I got of all things, the Australian 4K releases for the Mummy trilogy. And it didn't come as a trilogy pack, you had to buy them all separately, but I got them all separately. Thing is, when I got them, they'd given me the first, second, and third film. I think it was the third film had a slipcover, but the first and second didn't. But then I went to the shelf, because I was still browsing, and they had the second film there with a slipcover. And I'm like, oh, I have a choice. And it cost me an extra half an hour of my time because I went to the desk, brought over their slipcovered version, was like, hey, can I exchange these because this one has a slipcover. The problem was the slipcover had a slightly different barcode. So they had to go through this whole entire thing just to replace the one without the slipcover for a slipcover. Do you know how tedious that was? I was standing there like, this is just, like, luckily there was still other people being, like, able to serve other customers. I was standing there for, like, half an hour, like, this is just... I don't regret the decision, but it's annoying that I only have the second and third film with slipcovers and the first film doesn't have one if I double check. Yeah. And to be fair, they're pretty nice slipcovers. They've got, like, a nice sheen to them. They're not, like, embossed. They don't have any stuff like that. But... yeah, it can be that's annoying. But for me, when it's in a set and they're not all slip-covered versions, that's annoying. But if it's a standard release that comes with a damaged sleeve, like I had, it doesn't always annoy me. but it can. Like, I can understand a lot of collectors love their, like, say with steelbooks, they love it being in pristine condition. I hate when steelbooks are damaged and dented. That's fine, but that's also because it's the steelbook. That's the design. You don't want it to be scratched or damaged or dented, or snaps in half when you open it. That I can understand completely because it's literally what you're buying. You're buying it for the steelbook. You know, not always for the discs or the media inside, but for the steelbook. If I'm buying a Kino release or whatever, if it comes with a sleeve, it comes with a sleeve. Yay, you know, an extra millimeter of space on my shelf filled up, and it is still nice. I like the designs. I like I like when you have the option of like, here's a sleeve, and when you open it up, you've got reversible artwork. Kino doesn't do that, but I do like brands who do that, and they emphasize it comes with a slipcover because it's like new artwork on the slipcover. The inside will have that new artwork and a reversible sleeve. I like that. That's my favorite uses of having a slipcover, because then you can get both artworks. Just slide it up, bam, different artwork. I like that. But in terms of damage-wise, it's like, if I have again, I'll stick with Kino here, because, again, their artwork is the same on both inside and outside, whatever. I don't really mind not getting sleeves. I don't really care if they're damaged, because I don't throw them out. I know people who do. Well, I don't know people. I know of people who are on the forums who throw out their sleeves, because slipcovers are a very touchy subject for a lot of people, and I can completely understand. But also, it's like, I have my preferences on if I'd prefer a slipcover or not. If it's in the set, I prefer it. If it comes with reversible artwork on the underneath it, I prefer it. Say like Scream Factory releases and whatnot. Those are fun because you can change the artwork. That's the only time I really care for it, unless it's a set. But if it's just a standard release of a film that happens to come with a sleeve and the sleeve is damaged, and it's like, well, it's cardboard, it doesn't matter. It is worth noting that slipcovers aren't a common thing in Australia, unlike in the US, where almost every release will get a slipcover release, and hence why they're so valued there, but also because they have thinner cases in the US, and hence the sleeve doesn't add too much extra to it. It just adds some extra artwork, some extra padding, especially to some pretty cheap cases, whereas the Australian equivalents, the cases are a lot stronger, and we don't get slipcovers as much. Like, it's almost 1 in 10 gets a slipcover, so that's why I don't care as much for them, unless it's a special edition that has alternate artwork underneath, like, say, Umbrella's releases for their Beyond Genres, or just whatever other boutique label has, here's an artwork on the sleeve, and then you can also get a reversible sleeve on the inside of the case. I like those releases. I haven't had a lot of examples of my slipcovers coming in damaged. I've been lucky, I'd say, with that. It's the same with my steelbooks. I've only ever had one come in properly damaged, and I didn't think hey, can I get a replacement? Because it was from Zav in the UK, and I didn't really think that was a thing, you know. I didn't learn until like a couple months or even a year later that I could just just ask for a replacement, but that was well out of stock by the time I learned that. So you get to slipcovers, and I had a release, the neon release of Crimes of the Future. My initial, if you've seen some of my, a while ago when I got the 4K UHD in, I mentioned that my initial version that I got from Amazon was damaged. Now, if it was just the sleeve, which it was, it wasn't just the sleeve, but the sleeve was heavily damaged. Like, it was damaged on the corners, but also, which usually, if that's a shrink wrapping problem, it's a shrink wrapping problem. But this was clearly someone had like ripped the hole into it, because one of the actors' faces was there, and it was a hole, which is really weird. But then you add to that, the case itself was damaged as well, like someone had stepped on it. So because of that, I was like, I'm returning the whole package, I'm getting a refund, I'm buying it again. Maybe I wish I hadn't bought it, I don't know, because Second Sight announced that they're doing a release, which they're even pushing back because they're getting like more special features, or there was like some kind of delay. Yeah, because the manufacturer has changed the warehouse, so they've delayed the release by like an extra week or two. See, stuff like that I'm okay with, you know, because, you know, it is what it is. You want to make what the release be perfect. So that was annoying when I had my Crimes of the Future slipcover version damaged like that. And yet the version when I already ordered it and it came in, it was fine. There was no issues with it. So I just got one of the bad batch, and it's just like, This seems like a deliberate thing, though. This isn't, like damaged in transit. This is someone deliberately did this. It's just bizarre. So, yeah. But look, as an overall, there's a lot of times with physical media where there can be production errors and technical faults or producing errors that will mean that your steelbook comes in damaged or this comes in broken or whatever. Everyone loves a slash on the spine of their steelbooks when someone's clearly cut open the box and all the steelbooks were facing up. Isn't that the best part of steelbooks? Yeah, I hate that too. I've even got a deluxe limited edition set, which the spine was slashed, not on the steelbook conveniently, but on the box itself. And it's like, what the fuck? My Arrow video release of Dune was the same. There wasn't a spine slash. The damage was actually from, there was like a weird diagonal slash, so it had indented part of the steelbook, which is very weird. But even the case itself, but I don't know, I didn't mind that much. So yeah, it happens. I don't know, we have forums now, so people complain, and people complain a lot. There's a lot of older collectors who are like, my god, everyone's so nitpicky and complain about everything left, right, and center. It's like, yeah, I can understand, but that's just the kind of the culture we live in now. I have YouTube to complain to. I'm not going to be tweeting or posting on Reddit like, fuck these guys for doing this thing. No, I can yell at my camera and post it online. That's what I did, and it got me 2,000 odd views. Hey. So, yeah. It is what it is in the end. It still sucks when it happens. I can completely understand. I'm not an idiot. I'm not I'm on the company's side. Fuck you, you bought it, you deal with it. It's no, as a consumer, I completely understand. It sucks. But I'm just saying there are nitpicky elements, mostly for me with slipcovers, that it's just that's nitpicky stuff. But stuff like region coding is being produced wrong, and there's technical errors on discs, so you gotta get a replacement. Steelbooks being crushed in the mail, stuff like that. That stuff sucks. That's avoidable stuff for usually basic stuff. Hopefully, the steelbook pack it better. The discs. I don't know. That's sometimes it's a hard thing to determine, because usually companies will outsource it to a place that'll produce them, and then they'll send them back to you in their shrink wrap. Oh, these are perfect, ready to go. You'll have one or two test copies, and maybe you won't notice. Obviously, Umbrella didn't notice because they've got Region B players. They would have tested out the disc. It all looks fine. It all works fine. They wouldn't have thought, let's test this on a different region code player, and they wouldn't have realized. Because we don't have region code players in Australia, Well, we have laser, but unless you get manufactured ones that are specifically engineered, I can never remember the name. They put in a little device that allows you to click buttons on your remote. Bam, different region codes. That's what I have. But yeah, so modified. That's what it is. So yeah, I can understand that. Stuff like the Arrow video and Criterion errors, where it's their discs, the films are actually produced wrong, and they still send it out. That stuff, I'm that's quality control issues. That stuff you could fix immediately. Delay it a couple of weeks. Hey, we found an issue. We're going to delay it and we'll ship them out later. That stuff I can understand. So yeah. Anyway, that's all. Let me know what issues you've had with your Blu-rays of recent. There's always something, which is not great. It's not a great thing to say that, but there's always something that goes wrong. See you next time. Adios.